In today's video, I'm trying to find out whether you can use a Peltier module to cool a CPU. So, a Peltier module cools an object by drawing heat from it to the other side. So one side gets cold and the other side gets hot, essentially. This is called the thermoelectric effect. So I hooked up my junky Pentium 4 motherboard and tested the stock fan temperatures, which were around the 30 degrees Celsius mark. Then I took out the stock fan, using this complex Pentium 4 shroud system. The CPU stuck to the cooler, so I had to remove it. Then I cleaned the CPU and the heatsink of its old thermal compound. So then I took the Peltier Cooler and put its cables underneath the fan shroud so that there would be a tight contact. I hooked up the Peltier Cooler and turned it on just to make sure that the cold side was facing down. So that was definitely the cold side down. Alright, now that that was done, time to put the fan back on top of the Peltier Cooler module and to put the fan shroud over the whole setup. I then turned on the Peltier Cooler first, and then I turned on the motherboard power supply. The motherboard started up, and it was now time to test the temperatures. And they reached T-junction and the system shut down. So something wasn't working out the way it should have. So time to undo the shroud again and give it another go. The top of the module was very hot, so was the bottom. So I bumped up the voltage of the Peltier Cooler to increase its cooling efficiency. I just waited for a while so that the cold side could cool down. I installed back the old fan and everything, turned on the motherboard and just made sure that the temperatures were still what they were before. And it was close to T-junction again and it turned off again. So this was really not working out the way I wanted. So I installed my beefy Cooler Master fan and tried to see whether it was maybe the fan's fault. Alright, without thermal compound, this fan got around 40 degrees. So I put the Peltier Cooler back under it, as you can see, by the two wires that are looking out underneath it. Turned it back on. And let the whole thing cool down for a while. I then fired up the motherboard and tried to see whether this fixed the thermal issues I was facing. Looking at the hardware monitor, we could see we were back and the temperatures were skyrocketing. So what I could conclude from this was a 33 watt Peltier Cooler cannot be used to cool a CPU. And I may not have controlled all the variables, but just by looking at this, it doesn't seem like it's a viable alternative to liquid cooling anytime soon. And as we can see, the motherboard's temperatures were just rocketing up and eventually the system just turned off. So that's it for then. Thanks for watching.